talk just a little bit, just one slide, and just talk a little bit about what you do in your company?
Sure. My job is mostly campaign related, so I'm kind of the guy on the side that does the strategy for how we're going to drive leads and revenue. So work with the sales team very closely, set kind of what percentage of the leads and the revenue are we going to drive, and then what tactics are we going to take to ultimately get there. So we look at all the different channels, we look at some historicals, we look at our data set, say, okay, we think that we can do this much through email or telemarketing or all the different things, and then see if there's a gap that we need to shore up in some way. Axium itself sells to a pretty niche market, just architecture and engineering firms, and we have a financial and project management platform.
You know, for your company, Axiom, where is the sweet spot? What are some trends that you've seen change over time?
Sure. Actually, I have a slide on that. I don't know if it's in the deck at all. Right here. So one of the things Kevin said he didn't want to do too much of was get into the tactics. So the first thing I did was run out and get a slide about tactics. And so if you look here, a lot of the top tactics for B2B. This is from the 2012 Marketing Sherwood Benchmark Report. A good portion of them, almost all of them, are digital related. So you know, this just in the internet, it's not going anywhere. But one of the things I think that I find interesting, and I put the data down below, is that as much as people talk about social media, and you know, our company did definitely jump into it and test it, and we target largely the baby boom generation. So when you talk about a different channel, it's really about testing at the end of the day. And where do your buyers hang out? I mean, when it comes to social media, for example, the saying goes, find your tribe and go where they go. So for us, we have baby boom generation people. Hanging out on Twitter is probably not what they're doing most of their time. So, I mean, yes, we have a presence there, and the value for search is still kind of unknown, but it's not something we spend a lot of our time doing, and that's because we've tested it and we haven't found that there's an easy way for us to connect it back to revenue. And guys like Scott, you know, there's a couple of things they can always understand, and that's leads and revenue. So, you know, as a marketer, you have to be careful with how much stuff do we want to do in the branding category or in things that we think are the future of where the market's going, and how much time are we going to spend on the things that we know are actually going to deliver the results that we're looking for. So, I mean, search, you know, continues to be something that's really important. I think the cost of it, you know, is not going down. I think it's still very competitive, but at the end of the day, I think it's a tried and true tactic in digital that's not going away. Well, I think first of all, just saying that because we all have handheld devices that you need to have a mobile site is crazy. I mean, the cost right now of developing a mobile site or a mobile app is still pretty high, and that's why companies like Crowd Compass exist, is because they're lowering the barrier to entry to be able to create a mobile app for your event, for example. But I mean, first and foremost, you know, go into your analytics and see what people are actually doing on your site from a mobile standpoint. If you can see, or if you're like a lot of B2B companies and you're not a big brand, a lot of people are standing outside your office trying to figure out where you're at, so they're on their contact us page, or they just want to give you a phone call. So there can be certain aspects of your website that you might want to make mobile accessible. For example, if you use WordPress as your blog, which a lot of people do, you can add a plugin very easily, and all of your content gets converted over to, you know, mobile-related content. Maybe they want to come to your site and consume some of that content, but they don't necessarily need to see your full on-site. At least the cost of being able to provide the full site to them from a mobile standpoint doesn't make sense. With the advent of things like HTML5, what we're seeing now is that you can very easily make these fluid sites that go from whether you have a big monitor or, you know, regular size monitor all the way down to a mobile device. But I was at an event not that long ago, and I was sitting in on some really fantastic developers were talking about creating sites for different experiences. And one of the guys was from the W Hotels, and if you've ever been to their website, I mean, beautiful brand, amazing website, you know, awesome hotels. And he was talking about how he starts out first by building a mobile site because he doesn't want to take a regular site, have to neuter it down to, you know, something that'll work on mobile. And I was listening to him, and I was fully buying into what he said. Then I went to his mobile site, and I was like, this isn't even that great. So, I mean, and I don't mean that because, I mean, he was fantastic. His site was beautiful and everything, but I just think that the cost and the experience is still not quite there yet to make it make sense for a lot of brands, especially from a B2B standpoint. If you're a bigger company and you're seeing a lot of people coming there, then I think it's time to start thinking about how do we create an experience that works for people because they want to use it in that medium. I wanted to share this with everyone else because this gives me nightmares when I read it. But it kind of just talks about the future of where we're going from a digital standpoint and kind of conversions of all these different things. And I think we've been touching on all of those, but I think this is where we're headed eventually. I mean, I think because the younger generation is going to continue to consume more products and come into the business world, and you meet a lot of these younger people, and the way they communicate is over social media. They don't have an email address, and until somebody forces them to get one, they're not going to have one. So, I do think that this is the future. I think what we've been talking about tonight is how soon does your company have to go there is a totally different question, and what's cost effective for you, and what's going to drive revenue today. I mean, Scott probably doesn't want his marketers out doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. It's not going to bring leads this month or this quarter. I mean, salespeople are traditionally very focused on the next deal. They have to have short memories and be focused on kind of the here and now. And so you can't ever take your eye off of the ball today for the future.
Can you give us like a solid example of thoughts on it?
Oh, the landing page?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you touched on as far as not having your regular navigation, I think it's something that can be very effective because you kind of force them to either convert or leave. When you send them to your regular website, they can click around and go anywhere they want, and that's why putting them into a pure conversion funnel is very effective. You touched on kind of the integration of social media and those types of things. I think we are seeing more and more of that, but I think the pure digital marketers, still love their landing pages and still don't want to give the buyer a place to go.